Before the grotesque video of his murder was released, we now know the parents of James Foley were contacted by his kidnappers. They received a ransom note via email earlier this month, which they've now made public. In it, the Islamic State militant group demanded £80 million and warned, "You and your citizens will pay the price of your bombings," the first of which being the blood of the American citizen James Foley. This morning on American TV, the Foleys told of how the message initially brought them hope.
Well, we hadn't heard from Jim's captors since December, and I actually was excited to see an email, despite the conclusion that they would execute Jim. I underestimated that point. I did not realize how brutal they were, and I actually hoped we could engage in negotiations with them if they were willing to send us any sort of communication, because we'd had none prior.
The 40-year-old photojournalist went missing in late 2012, and in the intervening years, James Foley's family had few messages from his captors. They believe he showed immense strength in his disappearance and his death.
Well, Jim's courage, and particularly his compassion and love in that box, which they called it, was an answer to prayer. We had so many people praying for Jimmy. We had begged for prayer, but we didn't need to. Everyone was so good and praying, and Jim's strength and love was the answer.
The Foleys also revealed how they received a personal phone call from the Pope. The pontiff offered his sympathy while grieving for his two great-nephews and their mother, who died in a fatal car crash.
Pope Francis was so dear because he is grieving himself, having just lost 3 members of his family and his nephew critically ill. So here in the midst of his tremendous grief, he took the time to call.
Now the Foleys are calling for all other journalists being held captive in Iraq to be released, as their son's murder continues to spark revulsion worldwide. Julian Drucker, 5 News.